It is a quiet Sunday morning on the Hawaiian island of Oahu at the American Naval Base, Pearl Harbor. American planes are on the ground, their engines silent. It is an early Sunday morning at Pearl Harbor, but out of the quiet sky, 360 carrier-based Japanese planes will soon make this a day that changed America. This is the first of 21 days that changed America. We've begun in 1941 with the attack on Pearl Harbor. For 25 years, we will look at events like this one. With newsreels as our window into the historic past, here are the rest of those momentous days that shaped our history.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a infamy. The United States of America was attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The facts of yesterday and today speak for themselves. With confidence in our armed forces, with the with the inevitable triumph, so help us God. I ask that the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
6 months later, June 5th, 1942, a day that changes the balance of power in the Pacific.
Filmed under fire, these are the first pictures of America's great naval victory in the Pacific. Army, Navy, and Marine planes, cooperating with the fleet, surprise a Jap invasion force sent to capture strategic Midway Island, stepping stone to Hawaii and the North American continent. U.S. planes roaring to the attack amid a rain of anti-aircraft fire. The toll, 18 Japanese ships, cruisers, carriers, and destroyers, crippled like this or sent to the bottom. A blow more than equal to the defeat Japan suffered in the Battle of the Coral Sea. Back in port, Admiral Nimitz, who directed the action, bestows medals for deeds of valor. They fought the strangest naval battle in history, a battle in which the ships were hundreds of miles apart. The stories told by these hero pilots may rewrite all textbooks on naval warfare. They proved again and again that warplanes can blast battleships and transports. In one epic engagement, these men upset the balance of power in the Pacific.
June 6th, 1944, D-Day. Here are filmed records of the day the Allied forces began their final assault on Nazi terror.
The most powerful invasion air force ever launched. Some of the 11,000 planes that opened the path through the so-called impregnable Atlantic Wall. Between Le Havre and Cherbourg in Normandy, the Allied lightning strikes. Backing up the mightiest invasion by air, 4,000 ships, combat and landing craft carry the war to the enemy by sea. The Coast Guard, the Navy, the Air Forces land hundreds of thousands of British, Canadians, and Yanks on Hitler's doorstep within a few days. Isolating Cherbourg with its strategic harbor is the immediate objective. Landings are made under a naval barrage. President Roosevelt said, "Let our hearts be stout. And later, Germany is the first on the list for destruction. These troops, bucking the choppy seas in the Channel, heeded his words. While landings were successful, we were not without our losses. Each hour, and the enemy's hedgehog defenses are ahead. This is the supreme moment of invasion. This is frontal assault on an entrenched enemy. Heroic medical corpsmen remove wounded for return to England. The first batch of Nazi prisoners, the Supermen who believed their West Wall impregnable, and a Frenchman to whom the stars and stripes spell liberty. He's waited a long time for this. What he says wouldn't pass the censor. During the landings, the merciless pounding of the entire invasion area continues. Here is real pinpoint bombing. One of the last bridges between the invasion coast and Paris gets it. When the beachhead is established, heavier equipment is moved in. Reinforcements for those heroes who are bringing liberation to the people of Europe. The cost of our initial landing was but a fraction of what our leaders expected. More than 10,000 German prisoners were captured in the first few days of the battle. And we know one Hun who's not going to peddle any more Nazi philosophy. The Allied advance is rapid as we mop up town after town. Some Yank will have a nice doormat when he gets back home. The Supreme Commander, General Eisenhower, holds an early conference with General Montgomery, the commander of English ground troops, and they see that all operations go according to plan. These are the men who will lead us to victory, along with General Omar Bradley with glasses, who commands our infantry. The cost of our first landing was low, but many wounded are returned to English ports, men injured in that first assault. Let these pictures remind us that there's still a long road ahead to Berlin. The bond you buy in this fifth war loan drive can help men like these on the path to victory. Now it's your turn. Buy that extra bond today.
March 16th, 1945. The Marines take Iwo Jima.
Foot by foot is the bitter and bloody story of the advance on Iwo Jima, whose 8 square miles cost 4,100 American lives and total casualties of 20,000, half as many as all previous Marine operations in the Pacific combined. Navy and Marine Corps pictures show alligators grinding their way forward for the first assault on Mount Suribachi, whose guns command most of the island. Its capture is vital, and Navy planes roar into the attack. Marines dig in for the big push up the mountain behind a curtain of dive bombing. Big guns of the fleet offshore join the pulverizing barrage. On shore, howitzers hammer the Japs holed up in Suribachi's countless caves. The summit of Suribachi is now in range of concentrated land fire. The slow, agonizing crawl begins under merciless Jap fire, and pockets must be cleaned out with grenades. 22,000 Japs died in the fanatical defense of EO.
The capture by U.S. Marines of this tiny Pacific island will provide airstrips for American fighter planes to help them protect bombers on their way to Japan and provide a memorable symbol of American patriotism and bravery.
The fortifications of the Jap bastion make even more incredible the epic of Marine achievement. But take it they did, to their everlasting glory. The blood-soaked volcanic ash will live forever as their monument.
World War II ends August 14th, 1945.
The day of days for America and her allies. Crowds before the White House await the announcement from the president that the Japs have surrendered unconditionally.
I have received this afternoon a message from the Japanese government in reply to the message forwarded to that government by the Secretary of State on August 11th. I deem this reply a full acceptance of the Potsdam Declaration, which specifies the unconditional surrender of Japan. In the reply, there is no qualification.
Reporters rush out to relay the news to an anxious world and touch off celebrations throughout the country. Washington is jubilant. And in Chicago, more than 1 million sing and dance in the streets in the biggest celebration the Windy City has ever seen. Joy is unconfined.
The newsreel narrator is as ecstatic as the people shown in the film. But there's no doubt happy days change our history too.
It was 4 o'clock Pacific time in San Francisco when the announcement came, and people were quick to leave their offices for an impromptu, spontaneous celebration. But it was in that city's Chinatown where Victory Day was the most joyous. Firecrackers that had been hoarded for years are set off in a triumphant roar. Seattle let loose all the pent-up emotions of 3 years and 8 months of war, and to the victors, the spoils. The pose may not be dignified, but the young lady is not the least upset. Peace, it's wonderful. The Navy photographer gives us a preview of Admiral Halsey's ambition to ride the Emperor's white horse through the streets of Tokyo. Their rallying cry is, "Go to it, Admiral," and so say we all of us. But the greatest, wildest celebration of all was in New York's Times Square, where 2 million people, by far the greatest in the city's history, filled the streets all day waiting for the official word. A hilarious, happy throng, they cheered every rumor that it was all over. And when President Truman's announcement came at 7 o'clock, the lid really blew off. Tens of thousands of proud American flags dotted the square, and as the day wore on, hilarity reached a high peak. Far into the night, the happy crowd screamed their relief at the end of the greatest war in history. From early Tuesday morning, the celebration went on for 24 hours. New York never celebrated like this before, but never did they have a better reason.
This is the history-changing day when the first atom bomb is dropped on Japan. But the story begins in New Mexico.
With that mighty blast on the New Mexico desert, a new era in civilization has begun, and the doom of Japan is sealed. For this is the first test of the atomic bomb, which was later to wipe out the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and drive the Japs to surrender. These official U.S. Army pictures were taken from 6 miles away, and appalled scientists saw a column of smoke soar 40,000 feet into the stratosphere. The atomic age, for better or worse, is here.
November 4th, 1948.
The political miracle of the century begins to take form as millions of Americans go to the polls to elect a president. With Thomas E. Dewey, Republican nominee, a heavy favorite on all counts, the nation is expecting a smashing GOP victory. In the smallest hamlets, And in the teeming reaches of New York City, the electorate exercises its franchise to choose a leader in the democratic manner. Mr. and Mrs. Dewey arrive to cast their ballots in Manhattan. The governor is full of confidence, facing a horde of photographers clustered on every available perch to record this historic event. The popular governor of New York and former gang nemesis makes his choice and then gets ready to listen to the return. President Truman is no less confident as he arrives to vote in Independence, Missouri. After a record campaign across the nation, he comes home to ballot, accompanied by his staunchest supporters, his daughter Margaret and Mrs. Truman. His human appeal and sincere desire for world peace starts an avalanche of Democratic votes that sweep him to victory, along with the sympathetic majority in both houses of Congress.
On this day, Americans rejected the political left and right, the arch-conservatives and radicals, and instead voted to keep America moving along the path that Roosevelt had charted and Truman was continuing.
Continue to confirm the Truman victory, the president carrying 28 states with 304 electoral votes to Dewey's 16 states and 189, not counting the sleeper votes. Finally, the suspense is over. Truman wins with a popular vote of 21,462,000 to his Republican opponent's 19,862,000, with Jim Farley and Howard McGrath celebrating. Governor Dewey sends a traditional telegram of congratulations to an opponent who fought an uphill battle waged among the grassroots. And this is his victory pledge. All my efforts will be devoted to the cause of peace in the world and the prosperity of our people here at home.